Hey guys, it's Access Denied here again with a vlog. So this might be short, might be long, I don't know. I'm just going to talk about what's on my mind. Um, as you can see here, we have the app going with the test that I mentioned in episode 5 of the developing a Yu-Gi-Oh sim. It's downloading rather slowly, but sure and quick. Each individual file. I have to change the names of some specific files so that things that I want get downloaded before other things, making it a simpler process. And people won't feel funny about the app, so to speak. There's still some issues with the background being rather large, so it will download and then disappear and some things like that. I'm not particularly happy with the downloadable content button and some of the wording here. I'm going to change into links to other places. I'm still not completely happy with the way the buttons are here. I'm probably going to change those to something else. I like the shape, but they don't seem to bite, I guess is the word, enough. It's hard to explain. Yeah, they don't bite enough into the side like I want to. Uh, Settings button is fine. Checkmate is fine. Host button is fine. I mean, I could add some visual styling here and here and here, but it works. I could use a little bit of padding in places, just make it tighter and more clean looking. Clicking on the game list while it's doing its initial update causes it to crash, and I don't really understand what that's about. And of course, because it's updating, these three buttons don't work, so like I said before, I have to rename the yugioh pro.exe to be something else, which will require me to do some stuff on the server to re-verify some information. I mean, overall, it's a very beautiful app. Given everything. And I want to figure out how to clean this up a little easier. I mean, it works. I should probably move the code. That might be what's messing with the background a little bit. So that's everything here. The server's doing okay. After it's a little bit more stable, I guess, after I tinker with it a little bit, I'm going to start working on the game list. I'm going to try to recreate this, to be honest. Default deck, of course. I don't need a link to the checkmate server. This search bar here, for user filter for sure. Our system doesn't have anything for Elo yet, and it doesn't need the search thing because the automation's pretty much there. It doesn't need the join leave for pulling. We're probably going to do ranking in a different way. I have to talk with some competitive players about it because basically we're just given the Elo system, and I feel it's fundamentally flawed. It's kind of hard to explain how, because it's backed up by the DN administration really hard, but there's a few fundamental flaws with it. The first flaw is your Elo ranking is put into it's attached to your social status, and that causes social issues. So let's say you've been playing the game 10 years like me, and you do a lot of competitive dueling. You might not have like a so hot year, and it reflects in your ranking, and that somehow affects your social status, as if the fact that you've been playing for 10 years didn't happen at all. Because newer players are coming into the game, new cards are getting released, and it's like your experience, because you're playing in a bunch of broken formats repeatedly, and you're not making like extreme headway because it's basically coin flip or hand draw, or deck Y beats deck X, and Konami can't make a fucking basic system for whatever reason that gives a decent curve to support that. So the fact that your Elo is attached to your ranking, I don't think that that's your Elo being attached to your social status, it being so important that people actually get up to a certain rank and they'll stop playing because they don't want anything to happen to their rank, and they're getting very, very upset over minuscule bugs in the system and quirks in the system because they're so sensitive about that. It's like if you lose Elo status, your life is over. And just watching people on DN and talking about it here on DevPro and seeing the effect that Elo has had on DevPro, it's had a very, very bad effect, I believe. It also, and I don't give a fuck who tells you otherwise, does not reflect real world. In the real world, you only get ranking in very specific situations. It's not every single duel. That's why we have unranked and ranked, but they're both publicly viewable. So that negative effect is still there. What you're doing at any time, every single duel counting, is false. And then it being attached to your social status means that you can at no point fuck up. And that prevents people from exploring the game, and that has a lot to do with the stagnant formats that we're seeing, where it's 3 top decks, because you're not going to have people exploring, or high skilled people exploring out. It might take 3 or 4 decks out before you discover a new pool. For all we fucking know, something stupid like Gravekeepers could be really effective, but it's only effective in like a higher, more open format, like where maybe 1 more or 2 more decks are in there. There are a lot of archetypes, and there has been a lot of power creep, but the archetypes are all different and powerful enough where it could possibly be a little bit better. But I think that single-mindedness and closely protecting your Elo, thus going along with the status and running the game originality and risk downhill to the point of purposely seeking a tier 0 deck, so that it becomes only knowing a few things, and it becomes more like playing chess and not Yu-Gi-Oh! If I wanted to play chess, I would play chess, and I would get very, very good at chess. But I don't want to, because it's stagnant. It's a nearly perfectly balanced game, and that's actually very boring, and it gets into what is called super meta. So, like, meta stagnation here is pretty bad. I don't think that that's healthy for the game. I think that people quit playing, and I don't know how Konami understands that. During the second tier 0 format, I noticed a lot of people quit the game. When Dark Arm returned during that emergency ban list, I saw a lot of my friends quit the game, and they did not come back. And subsequent formats where it got to tier 0 or pretty close to tier 0, it just, no. It's not good. For competitive people who are, I want to be the best, it's either you win or lose, and if you lose, you're nobody. Those people need to go and get into like competitive sports and not Yu-Gi-Oh! They suck the life out of the fucking game. So what I'm thinking is that ranking only be upped during tournament play, because in tournament play, y- you you verify what you're doing, what you're using, and you play just for that tournament, and then that be available, and then afterwards you play games, of course, and you test, but it doesn't really highly affect your elo, and I think that would take a lot of pressure off, and it's more so people, from my experience talking and understanding people, they want a competitive player. They want somebody that represents going to regionals, and I want to kind of have our own regionals system here that really reflects that. And I don't feel that it's done quite properly right now with Elo. I think Elo was a lazy but close try. I think something more realistic needs to be done, and it will require work. So I believe that that's what I'm going to do after this takes off, is take the old judges and convert them over to be tournament directors, so that they still have a place in the community, just not as insanely powerful, and they can't hurt people the way that I've seen them hurt people. I don't think that that's right, and I would like to do something about that. It's just really sad how intense people get over really stupid stuff. Like I said before, and this is something that most people that are really high about rulings for no fucking good reason, is that the formats between the OCG and the TCG are different, and I feel that, you know, there's a reason for that, whatever it is, and there's nothing we can do about that. But the people that make Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, they're in Japan and China and Taiwan and Hong Kong. They're in that part of the world, and they play OCG there, and TCG is a secondhand thought. European format doesn't exist, and it has different rulings. So I figured out a way, unlike all the other Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro servers, to facilitate that properly and get all those cards coded properly, and it really reflect like it should, and also keep all this automated and running, and, you know, keep the people that are really bitchy about what's going on happy. I feel like I found a middle ground, and I just need to keep going and get this system up, and once I get the system up, everything will be okay. I've spoken with a number of YouTubers, and they're like, you know, once it's up, we'll support you. And I feel like I'm getting really close. I just have a few loose ends to figure out. Deanne has gotten really toxic. Blackluster Soldier Chris has been really kind to me, and I keep talking to him about his staff, and just, I've watched them really close. I've had a long time to watch them really close, and I spoke with some of my close friends. I explained the situation from people that were outside, and I've spoken with Chris, and I've spoken with the administration there, and I've watched the way the community has developed, and my ultimate decision at this point is to do as much as I can to make the current system I'm building a better option, but at a point I'm going to have to stop, you know, being kind of soft about things and be a little bit more heavy-handed about who is going to be in our community. And I know I may sound arrogant about that, but when you really think about it, whoever is running the simulators is the person that's in control of the game. Whoever is doing the vending and selling the cards, and, you know, whoever is in control of the events and things like that. ARG has a lot of sway. That's proof of that. Core TCG has a lot of sway. You know, like if something went down on DN, it would have a major effect on the game, and it has, and DN has had a very major effect on the game. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Pros are very fractured, and I'm trying to fix that. I think that I need to take into account a lot of psychology and make it so that there are consequences for everything that's going on. I think that the community is very, very toxic because there are no leaders. There's nobody to say what's right, what's wrong. Like, have a fucking crazy ass argument with somebody online because they think Towers is a bad card. When, for example, Towers is a very fucking powerful card. If you side it in against a deck that, can't fucking deal with it, then you win. Towers is one of those cards that, you just win. It's not perfect in every situation. Yeah. And it's, people say that Madolches are bad. Well, against certain, like the current meta that Konami's pushing, they're pretty bad, but you go up against them with like any other deck, you're dead man. Or people say that don't use Supply Squad, but I'm pretty sure Jackie Burnell just like kicked some ass with Supply Squad and won a ARG tournament. Or don't use more than 40 cards, and I'm pretty sure she just won or went top 8 in the ARG with 44 cards. Convention, this game is really about innovating, and I think a lot of people are scared to innovate, and they just want somebody to follow, and the people that end up in those positions do not think or consider or have, actually, in my experience, they do not have the capacity to do that. And, Patrick Hoban is probably a really good example of being in a place and not having the capacity to give that leadership, insulting people, and, being a total fucking jackass and assaulting people is not a good, it's not a good thing to do. So, after he assaults somebody in Germany, we hear about it happening in China. And, we went, 9-10 years and nobody's killing anyone in the fucking tournament, but all of a sudden we have, he does it, then somebody else does it, and, that's probably going to keep going. I just think that we have very bad leadership. And the people that are at the top, there's no way to get rid of them. And I think it's time to get rid of them. Access denied. Connection terminated.